The story begins by saying that nothing special happened before this. It's one of those mobile games with an automatic system, the most generic type that doesn't need any explanation. The name was Blessing of Miracle, and the question that remains is why this guy played it. It's because he's a man of culture, and obviously because the waifus were very hot.
Wow.
However, despite liking the game a lot, he never spent a cent and had even finished it. But then he was sucked into it, not as one of the playable characters, not even as an NPC. He became that little figure in the background, standing still and isolated. He turned into a completely unknown random character. And here his name is Kangeoma. By accident, he bumps into a girl with blue hair, and he gets scared when he realizes it's a woman. He turns around and asks if she's okay, and she replies that she is, apologizing for the inconvenience. The luck our boy has is that this game is set in Korea. The names, locations, and geography were very similar. Thanks to this, he adapted easily, and he lives as a simple teenager for almost a year. In this place, you can't even tell if this reality is a game, and there he's living an ordinary life like anyone else. Then he arrives home. His mother says he's the pride of the Saori Kang clan. She shows him an acceptance letter. He has been admitted to the Hawakan Academy. He says he already knows about it and asks them to stop talking about it all the time. Meanwhile, his parents, especially his mother, keep saying he's the pride of the family. Tomorrow is going to be the entrance ceremony, and they are all excited, asking if he is ready. He says he'll hurry, and that's how his dream of living a modest life is completely destroyed. Sitting in his chair, he thinks that tomorrow will be the day, and there's no way out of it, considering how much everyone is expecting from him. He looks at the photo while thinking about how exhausted he is. In theory, it's all the fault of the real Kangeoma, who came before him. This kid managed to get accepted into this prestigious school. As soon as he arrived, he learned from the boy's parents that he had passed the test shortly before he took over this body. Of course, the parents don't know he took over, but our guy has no excuse. And considering how hard it is to get into this academy, he wonders if the boy was a genius or maybe had a blessing. Basically, special abilities, a concept very similar to what you find in games. However, not all humans have this kind of divine protection. That's because most powers are genetic. They depend on the presence or absence of blessings from the beginning. Society divides the rankings into noble, common, and privileged. That's how they maintain the power of the elite. And Hawakan Academy was founded with the purpose of training heroes. However, it has always been exclusive to the most important families, until recently when a special admission was introduced. And he, Kangeoma, was one of the few accepted in this special way. The reason is obvious. Maybe it's because they need new heroes, perhaps because of the monsters. But he needs to start remembering that this isn't his reality. This was a training school designed to prepare for war, very different from enlisting in the army. So lazily, he starts talking about his blessing. A window pops up, and he mutters about how this status window is always weird. It showed that he had the blessing to negate pain. For 30 seconds, he wouldn't feel any pain at all. But the cooldown time was 12 hours. He's frustrated, saying this ability is going to be useless. It's almost depressing to see that this is all he has. However, he also has the blessing he received upon possessing this body. The blessing of the sword god. Its effect is pretty simple. If he attacks, it will cut. It has no activation limit, but only works with blades less than 30 centimeters long and 5 centimeters wide. Although he hadn't finished the game, he knew many abilities and had never heard of this one. Not to mention that this when you attack, you cut effect was way too simple. But what stands out the most is the activation condition. A sword shorter than 30 centimeters. Thinking it over, he imagines it's the exact size of a sashimi knife. Looking at all this, he has no idea what they expect from him. But life doesn't always go the way you want. And now he has finished preparing for this. Or not really, because he just remembered he needs to bring equipment. He knows that even an E rank weapon costs millions. And anything above C rank costs hundreds of millions. Meanwhile, A rank and S rank are priceless treasures. The problem is that just being at this school already costs a fortune, and he can't keep asking his parents for more money. The issue is that they're requiring him to bring equipment, so he'll have to bring something. He decides to visit a random shop. Whatever works at this point, at least he remembers that Japanese knives are good for being sharp. Besides, a master shouldn't blame their equipment. The scene shifts to someone calling him a kid, asking what exactly he brought. Our guy stands there awkwardly, surrounded by a pile of convenience store sashimi knives. It's the day for weapon analysis during the entrance ceremony. He knows that anyone who doesn't bring good equipment will be marked and bullied by the wealthier students. The evaluator slams the table, asking if he thinks this academy is a joke. Why is this kid bringing a pile of kitchen knives to this place? Kang replies seriously that this is his equipment. The professor seems incredulous. He yells at the student, but our guy tells him to calm down. He explains that he was accepted through the new special system, and his family doesn't have money to spend on equipment. Our boy is wearing the badge that clearly shows he isn't from a wealthy family. To him, it's ridiculous that a professor of an educational institution that should treat everyone equally is being so prejudiced. He adds that, in the end, blaming equipment is something only amateurs would do. In his opinion, an expert doesn't blame the weapon. The professor is impressed by the boy's words of wisdom and confidence. To him, his unshakable spirit is incredible, and so he grants admission to student Kang. Our guy just says, "Thank you." Meanwhile, some people in the background hear about the special admission and don't seem happy. The ugly ones are even saying he stinks. But the professor just tells everyone to shut up and leave as soon as the evaluation ends. He could be an angel or a demon depending on what they said. Our guy just runs off to avoid getting involved with these lunatics. Outside, the day has barely started and he already wants a break. He expected this kind of judgment, but going through it still doesn't feel good. At least he survived the evaluation, and now it's just the classroom qualification test. But now he's come too far. He knows he'll have to attend this school for the next 3 years. Looking around, it's completely different from what he saw on the screen. If he exaggerated a bit, he'd say it's the size of a small city. And he admits that the school is at least pretty cool. He remembers how he had to drop out of high school in the past due to family circumstances. So it's surreal to think this is actually happening. Then over the intercom, they announce that the tests are starting and instruct the new students to gather in the training area. He thinks everything is happening so fast. But a test is a test, and he's determined to give it his all, except he forgot one small detail. He's never used a knife since arriving in this world, so there's nothing he can do. But he recalls his master telling him never to let go of the knife, not even for a second. Our boy thinks that after 20 years of work, 1 year of rest wouldn't have made a difference. He pats the blade and says, "It's not that bad." First, he's going to try cutting with the knife. He pulls it from a sheath surrounded by a blue aura. The equipment meets the conditions, and the blessing of the sword god is activated. However, the user's physical body level was too low, and the equipment's level was also too low. Because of this, suppression would be used to synchronize the equipment to him. Our guy, however, is impressed that just pulling it out of the packaging activated the ability. With that, the level 1 activation is complete. The system wishes him the blessing of the gods. He feels something approaching and starts screaming in agony. He realizes that at this rate, whatever is happening will kill him. An explosion occurs and the boy creates a rupture and a digital pathway. What is this? He's as confused as we are and drops the knife on the ground. That's probably the right move. Reality seems to shatter and he's back at the school. He notices that the moment he let go, everything returned to normal. The problem now is that he's got a splitting headache. He understands that the ability was activated, but why is this so-called blessing of the gods making the world fall apart? And the intense pain he's in now feels like the price for using the ability. If every activation feels like this, it means he can't use it. The intercom continues announcing for students to gather in the training field. Looking at the ground, he wonders if he can pick up the knife. He doesn't want to leave it there, abandoned in the middle of nowhere. He hesitates, but then picks it up by the handle. However, the moment he does, he feels a jolt like electricity and screams again. The scene shifts to the training hall. It's in the middle of the Colosseum, crowded with people. Apparently, these are the nobles talking about their children entering the school. And then they look to the side. Someone has arrived. The Sword Emperor, Siegfried von Nibelung. What a name. Apparently, he's a direct descendant of some Aaron Nibelung, a legendary hero. A chubby guy with messy hair says, "Siegfried is the strongest human alive." Siegfried lowers his head and looks to the side. Medea Poison has arrived. What a venomous name. Now it makes sense why our dear Kang was so into this game. I mean, who could resist those mountains? She asks Siegfried if it hasn't been half a century since they last saw each other. He comments on how she's dressed at the academy and asks if she's going senile at 70. She replies that every woman wishes to stay beautiful until the end and offers to use her power to make him 10 years younger if he wants. Siegfried retorts that even at 70, she hasn't aged. He values character above all else. She laughs at him, saying he's the same as half a century ago. But she slightly notes that his presence here means things are changing. Normally, he hates mingling with the elite. Perhaps he's interested in his granddaughter who's here. She must be really beautiful. Siegfried ignores the comment, simply stating that things are about to begin. The artist decided to give everyone Yu-Gi-Oh! Level hairstyles. Meanwhile, our boy is standing there with plain black hair, wondering if he's the only one with normal hair. Everyone is talking about how he's a special admission student. So this is what it means to come from humble origins. Then there's a sudden flash from the back, and everyone's murmuring. He wonders who's arriving now. Wow, the blue-haired girl is here. He already knew she studied here. Abel von Nibelung, the granddaughter of the Sword Emperor himself, and more importantly, the heroine of that game. The reason he got addicted. Folks, she sure does look like Hatsune Miku. The story explains that there's something called a subspace, a space separate from reality. There, attacks feel real, and you experience all the pain. However, since it doesn't interfere with actual reality, even murder is allowed there. Wow, Medea Poison is going all out with her bazookas. Calm down, artist. Too much fan service. What's about to happen is a battle royale competition inside this subspace. Participants will be divided into groups of 10, and ranks will be based on survival. Medea explains there will be no equipment restrictions, and Siegfried points out that this gives the wealthy an advantage. She replies saying that they need some kind of edge, since they're the ones funding the academy. She mentions that creating the special admission system was already a significant challenge for her. Kang is blushing in the crowd. Abel was so beautiful in 2D, but now, just looking at her from afar, he feels shaken to his knees to the point he's hard. Seeing the guys around, he feels sorry for them, because he knows the game well. Abel von Nibelung is a player of Miracle Blessing M. In other words, there's another protagonist who connects to her in the end. Beautiful people always have someone waiting for them, and our special admission boy has no chance. So it's better not to get involved. His goal is to live a peaceful, ordinary, and safe life. Finish school without much trouble and work in a regular place. Then he sees in the paper that heroes always earn the highest salaries. But remembering the pain just from drawing that knife, he knows it's impossible for him. Those heroes can protect the world. He's aiming for a nice, comfortable desk job. A crystal in the sky suddenly announces the test for this year at Joaquin Academy. The crystal explains that the test will be a battle royale. Whoever is the last survivor will receive the star rank. The second and third place will receive the dragon rank. 4th to 7th will get the wolf rank, and 8th to 10th will be ranked as ordinary. The scoring would be automatic, and there was no time limit. Our guy realized it's exactly like a game. His goal is to finish as quickly as possible, without drawing attention, staying ordinary. At that moment, the robot begins spreading a blue energy, announcing that the test has begun. May the blessing of the heroes be with you. Our boy just wants to avoid pulling out his weapon at any cost. The next scene, almost everyone is already on the ground, defeated. The top rankings are being announced. In the 24th group, first place was Rachel. In the 47th group, first place was Saki Ryozo. Second place was Sarada. Medea comments that this year feels unfair. His granddaughter, along with descendants from the Changseong and Jolgung families, are competing, so the results were predictable. It's obvious Abel finished her match in 7 minutes and 14 seconds. Even though it didn't break her grandfather's record, it's still one of the Academy's top 10 times. Siegfried says it's only natural for a descendant of Nibelung to have such talent. But now that things are wrapping up, he's leaving. Medea asks if he doesn't want to watch the other descendants, but he dismisses them as a bunch of pigs. He doesn't like nobles at all. He says goodbye to her, and Medea bids farewell, joking that she'll see him in the afterlife. But then suddenly the two are startled, and everyone is shocked. A strange energy surges through the area, and Medea asks if he felt it too. Looking at the crowd, Siegfried is alarmed. He can't understand where it's coming from. Something catches their attention. A blue light appears in the sky. They look up as the space begins to shatter. Pieces fall to the ground, exploding among the students. People are asking if someone fell from the alternate space. Once again, the sky flashes, and Siegfried is watching a small knife fall in front of someone. Medea orders the medics to be called and tells the cadets to help. And lying there, who is it? Yep, you guessed it, our guy. We then get a flashback of what exactly happened. A blonde boy yells, claiming he'll take out that bastard. But another grabs him by the neck. The blonde gets punched in the face. And that's when Kang realizes he's caught up in a death match. The Mao family brothers are notorious for their brutality. Kang is horrified to see that instead of killing people outright, they've been torturing them for over 30 minutes. What he doesn't understand is why they're leaving him alone. Is he so weak they don't even consider him worth fighting? One brother holding the blonde by the neck asks if he's dead. Yet, he throws another person to the ground and complains that this is getting boring. He starts counting the remaining people. He looks at his brother and says he's been killing too fast and should slow down. But then he stomps on another person, crushing them. He apologizes, sarcastically saying, "That's another one down." He points to a girl and tells his brother, "You can have her for some fun." The girl is clearly terrified. Hiding nearby, Kang doesn't know what to do. But that didn't change how the brothers acted. The red-clad brother starts walking toward the girl. He comments that she's just his type and that he's already imagining the screams coming from her mouth. The blue-clad brother calls him a pervert, even though they're siblings. But the red brother insists he's just going to start ripping her apart. Suddenly, someone yells, calling them damn bastards. It's Kang asking if they're psychopaths. Even though this is a separate space, what they're doing is too much. The brothers ignore his words and wonder who the new guy is. They quickly realize he's a special admission student. The red brother says he'll crush Kang's head in no time. The red brother adds that for the insult, he'll start by ripping out Kang's tongue. Kang is panicking, wondering what to do. He could use the ability to nullify pain, but it only lasts 30 seconds. And these guys have been here for half an hour. Then he remembers something, the sashimi knife in his bag. The problem is that he knows the moment he touches it, the ability will activate, but it's his only option. The brothers are startled when he pulls out the knife glowing with a blue aura. Kang thought they'd be scared, but instead they laugh at him. They ask if he's joking with that thing. The girl is surprised by what she sees. The red brother laughs, saying Kang's death will be as painless as possible since he's so amusing. Then he lunges forward, claiming he'll crush Kang's head. Kang activates the pain-nullifying ability for 30 seconds, at least combined with the other blessing. This might be his only shot at victory. He starts drawing the blade, and the blessing activates instantly. The red brother is still mocking him, asking what he plans to do with a kitchen knife. Kang knows it's now or never, cut, or be killed. The problem is it's not a fish. It's a human body. He recalls wondering why gangsters in movies always use sashimi knives. They really cut through people. His boss back then told him it was impossible, but Kang knows that description of the blessing says that if he attacks, it will cut. The blade slices through and the red-clad brother watches in horror as his arm goes flying. The severed limb hits the ground with a thud. We flash back to a scene in the kitchen Kang had once asked if gangsters eat sashimi. The knife had hit the walls, startling him, and his mentor yelled, "Call me master." He wanted to know why Kang cared so much about it. It turns out Kang's first mentor was a former gangster. The man had cut off one of his own hands as punishment for his past crimes. Kang, clueless as ever, had asked about the scenes he'd seen in movies. He wanted to know if it was the same in reality. The mentor explained that when you stab someone, their skin and organs contract. That's why it's easier to stab multiple times than to make a clean cut. He also explained that's why fish are sliced lying down. But when standing upright, you can't even tear a piece of bread. When Kang suggested that maybe the mentor just wasn't skilled enough, he got another smack. The mentor declared it impossible. But now with the chubby brother's arm flying off, maybe it wasn't so impossible. The severed arm hits the ground and the brother screams in agony. He has no idea what just happened. While Kang calmly advances. In panic, the brother yells for help and runs toward his sibling. But his red-clad brother stands frozen, fear evident on his face. The red brother leaps forward, shouting that this brat is going to slice them both up. But Kang makes another move, cutting him clean through like a sheet of paper. The blue brother watches in shock as his sibling is sliced. Looking down, he sees a piece of his brother's head staring back at him. He screams, calling out for his brother Shun. While Kang stands silently, the girl observes from the sidelines. Clearly stunned, the blue-clad brother tries to compose himself, reasoning that they are in the void space. Worse, judging by his technique, he seems like an amateur. Maybe it was some kind of fluke or strange coincidence. But one thing is certain, he needs to be cautious of that knife. He concludes that his brother lost due to recklessness, then equipping a defensive blessing in another that boosts his jump by 200%. He also activates a spiritual damage bonus for his fists. He declares that with these three powers manifesting simultaneously, it's time to show Kang his true strength. He doesn't know where Kang got that knife, but even an S-rank weapon couldn't harm his fists. Meanwhile, Kang is standing still, counting seconds. He's at 21. The blue brother charges while claiming he's different from his sibling. If Kang stays still, he'll crush his head. But suddenly we're down to 5 seconds. The brother wonders what just happened, wondering whether Kang just used him as a target for a throwing knife. The blue brother is left dazed, not understanding what's happening. With 2 seconds left of Kang's blessings, the Mao brother loses consciousness. At that moment, the effect of the blessing ends, and Kang starts screaming in pain. Sometime later, Kang opens his eyes to find himself in an unfamiliar place that looks like a hospital. As he gets up, a blonde boy opens the door and runs outside, announcing that the student is awake. Someone enters the room, and Kang immediately recognizes the face. Not personally, but from stories. The man before him destroyed the Demon Lord's 6th Legion commander 50 years ago, and is one of the 7 heroes of the 7 stars, the strongest man in humanity, Siegfried. Medea greets him and Kang wonders why they're both here. Siegfried asks for his name and Kang introduces himself. Siegfried gets straight to the point, asking what Kang did during the test. Even though Kang isn't sure himself, it's clear that he was the one who caused everything. Kang notices Siegfried's hand resting on his sword. There's no way he could stand a chance against a monster like this. Kang nervously admits that he knows he went too far during the evaluation and is willing to face the consequences. Siegfried simply observes him. Medea intervenes, telling Siegfried to stop intimidating the boy. She approaches Kang seductively, explaining that Siegfried cleared his meridians while he was unconscious. She adds that she's interested in Kang and rubs her chest against his arm. Siegfried scolds Medea for acting so casually with a new student. Kang is thoroughly confused, wondering why the swordmaster helped him and why Medea is so close. Medea explains that she watched the footage of the test while he was unconscious. Seeing him risk everything to protect another student moved her. She's fawning over him, calling him a hero, and tells him that his actions made her feel excited. Siegfried once again tells her to show some dignity. Medea turns to Kang, saying that they're not going to punish him for his actions today. However, she mentions that the 2 brothers from the Mao family seem ready to drop out of school. Kang feels a bit confused, but is at least relieved that he won't have to share space with those 2. Siegfried then says they have something important to tell him. Kang was the top student in this evaluation. Kang is baffled. His goal was to live a calm and quiet life without drawing attention.